National League. There's a whole other set of teams. This is a long podcast,
Man.
but now's the time to do it. Yeah?
It's a whole
What?
other. There's 15 more teams.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh my gosh, this is what a chore. Just kidding. I'm having a great time. Let's talk about the buyers in the National League, and we begin with an absolutely terrible baseball team that is the Los Angeles Dodgers, who embarrassed themselves once again on Tuesday night. Edgardo Henriquez with just a wonderful throwing error to throw the game away, as Shohei Ohtani continues to blow our minds and the Dodgers continue to lose. But good news, Fangraphs is unbothered by the Dodgers' current skid, as they still have 99% playoff odds, which I wholeheartedly agree with. That said, because of the latest wave of injuries, which includes Tanner Scott and now Ben Kasparius, I mean, they're truly dropping by the day at this point. This team is going to need pitchers, Jake Mintz. What a freaking surprise. And it is quite, it's amazing, right? Andrew Friedman spends all this money. He says, well, guys, we got to bring in all these free agent pitchers so that we don't have to trade away prospects at the deadline. I mean, that's the point, right? That's why we're doing this. Well, guess what? They are going to need even more pitching than they did a year ago. And Michael Kopech and Jack Flaherty were very, very important. Like, they probably aren't winning the World Series without those two guys. I know they weren't their best pitchers, but they did end up absolutely needing them. I know Tommy Edman was an even bigger part of last year's deadline, but they are going to need pitchers. I think that is still going to be the priority. I know some of their hitters have not been living up to their high standards, but I think that for the most part, that the focus is going to be on the mound for the Dodgers.
They are not entering October with Alex Vesia, Kirby Yates, Alexis Diaz, Ben Kasparius, Anthony Bonda, Edgardo Henriquez, Jack Dreyer, Will Klein, and Dustin May. That's not the bullpen. It's just not. Now, do they get a starter? I don't know. So if the playoffs were tomorrow, the rotation would probably be Yamamoto, Glasnow, Ohtani to Emmett Sheehan, and then the return of Blake Snell, right? With Kershaw in there somewhere. I think they're probably content enough with that. That's surely going to change between now and the first game of the playoffs. Someone else is going to get hurt or come back or whatever. I think they're happy enough with that they don't need to get a playoff starter. And this bullpen is just such a catastrophe that they really do need more reinforcements there. They could use a utility man just because Max Muncy and Enrique Hernandez are out right now. And they're a little thin on the position player side. But I don't think that that's a must. Anything else on LA before we move to the Cubs?
No, it's just amazing that this is where they are. I mean, we were like, 120 wins. It's like, yeah, if they go undefeated the rest of the way. Actually, I literally don't even think they can get to 120 anymore. So just amazing sequence of events, but we should stop being surprised that this is how the Dodgers seasons go.
Cubs.
Now the Cubs, feeling a little bit better today than yesterday because the Brewers finally lost, getting shut out in Seattle on Tuesday. However, they got to be sweating it a little bit. And they know that they are not going to coast to a division title here. And so because of that, I think that while this is still a team that has, and by the way, Matthew Boyd reminding us that, like, hey guys, I'm an all-star starting pitcher. And you can keep discounting me as a playoff starter, but I'm having the best year of my career, and you should feel confident.
He's a playoff starter.
And that's fine. That's fine. Right. Okay.
He's not the problem.
The question is, you go him and Imanaga. That's the question. Is there someone, if we know that Justin Steele's not coming back this year, Tyon hurt, Assad still hurt, Colin Ray is doing his best, Cade Horton has looked better as a rookie, it still feels like this is a team that's going to be trying to pay big for an impact starting pitcher.
And Seth Lugo makes a lot of sense here. There is no team, in my opinion, no buyer with higher stakes. Kyle Tucker, free agent at the end of the year. Jed Hoyer, the president of baseball operations, his contract is up. He is on the hot seat. If the Cubs do not make the playoffs this year, he is absolutely gonzo. So you have to remember the motivations that are pushing the people who are making the decisions. And I think that is really relevant in regards to the Cubs. Let's move on to the Phillies and the Mets, who I think we can group together because their needs are the same. They need relievers. They need relievers, and more relievers. Both of these teams, I think, feel pretty good about their position player groups, but don't have enough arms in the late innings. They have had injuries. They have had suspensions in regards to Jose Alvarado. They have had underperformance. And I think that it's reasonable to expect reinforcements to come. Now, the difference between the Phillies and the Mets is that the Phillies are led by Dave Dombrowski, who is very aggressive. He is going to add a reliever. Which of the guys on the market do you think makes sense for Philadelphia?
Yeah, I mean, Dombrowski is, I think, an absolute main character at this deadline. I think, we know they just signed David Robertson, so he'll help at some point in August. Would they be willing to fast track Gage Wood? I wouldn't put it past them, considering how quickly they've pushed some of the other guys like Kerkering. But I do think we'll see, are they willing to go out and get like a Clase, or if that guy becomes available, or Duran, Griffin Jacks for Minnesota? Do they have the prospects to get a deal done for someone who isn't a rental like a Ryan Helsley or a Fairbanks? I don't know. It's going to be someone. I do wonder with Philadelphia if the outfield is something they would consider also addressing. The Max Kepler situation has clearly not gone as planned, and we know that just the offense from the outfield spots has just not. I mean, it's just been bad. I mean, they just haven't got a lot of production from that. So I know it's less of a priority than the bullpen, but I do wonder if they are maybe more interested in a bat than we maybe thought.
And the one thing about Philadelphia, right, is that the window's closing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Way more than the Mets.
Yeah. Yeah. And but I mean, right. I agree with that. So I think the urgency, like Stearns probably feels like he can be a little bit more measured. But I don't know, man. Like the Mets should still be trying to win the division. Like, come on. Like you're still you did just give Juan Soto $800 million. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't. But I do think just based on what we know on how these guys usually act, I do think it's more likely that they play it cool. Whereas Dombrowski's like, F them kids. We're trading these prospects.
Yeah, and if Pete Alonso hits free agency again this year, that's a big bat out the door. The time to win in Queens is now. And I do think that Stearns will be more aggressive than he was last season. Let's do the Padres now, who are the ultimate stars and scrubs Major League Baseball team. The top of their order is outstanding. The bottom of it is an absolute shanda. They lost last night. This is an amazing, like the perfect encapsulation of the bottom of the Padres offense last night. Down 3-1 in the ninth against the Marlins, 4-1 in the ninth, against the Marlins. And they go walk double. And it's like 1-run game, runner on second, no outs. Here comes the bottom of the lineup. And it's just like poof, poof, poof. Trenton Brooks, pinch hit, pop out. The San Diego Padres need really two things, in my opinion. They need a catcher. And catchers get dealt so rarely at the deadline because of all that goes into catching in the modern game. But them rolling out Elias Diaz and Martin Maldonado as a platoon that should just, the AARP platoon is not a viable path forward. If you go WAR by position this season, I believe the Padres catchers have accumulated the fewest WAR. Yes, -0.8, according to Baseball Reference. So that's a need. And then the other need is just like an adult hitter at the bottom of the lineup. And they can put that guy at DH. They can put him in left field.
Yeah. Because Gavin Sheets has been a good story, but he has not been a good hitter for like 2 months now. And he still has a place on this roster as like a lefty bench bat, but him being in the lineup every day, let alone giving regular at-bats to Iglesias and Tyler Wade and Trenton Brooks, like it's not anywhere close to good enough. And the rest of this lineup is not so good that you can afford it in a way that like a team, honestly, like the Yankees, right? Like if you have Aaron Judge and I know the Padres have some really good hitters, but the bottom of this lineup has just cost them too much. So Preller, kind of in the same way as Dipoto, like he's going to do something. He's going to try to do something. Does he have, but unlike Dipoto, he does not have a loaded farm system to deal from. That said, Preller gets stuff done. So I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what catcher could realistically be available to fix this midseason if it's not Sean Murphy. And I don't think they have what it takes to trade for Sean Murphy. So I don't know. They are they are a mystery box. But as always, every year I can't wait to see what the Padres do.
Who do the Padres love trading with, Jordan, more than anybody else?
I don't. Seattle. I mean,
Tampa Bay Rays.
A lot of people. Oh, yeah.
Danny Jansen, San Diego Padre. perfect, like the Rays,
Sure.
like, oh, he's worth 10 million. They'll eat some of the deal. They'll get a guy who we've never heard of. Like Danny Jansen is like the perfect thread the needle Rays move right there.
The Rays are going to have to figure out their catching too at some point. That has been a
True.
huge weak spot for them also. And I know Danny Jansen hasn't exactly been the fix. All right, last obvious buyer, although we also don't know what they are going to do, and that's Milwaukee. They did finally lose last night. They, to us, are in the same bucket as Detroit, although we have seen Milwaukee be in a playoff spot at the deadline multiple times over the last half decade. Unlike Detroit, we haven't seen them go heavy all in. I don't know, because on one hand, they're probably like, we don't need to do anything dramatic. Whatever weird stuff we're doing is working. At the same time, as we just talked about, like there's still not a roster that terrifies you come October, as impressive as it is what they're doing. So is this a year they finally decide to they also
No.
have a great farm? I don't think so. I think they're just going to keep on doing Brewers stuff.
In 2021, they had 95% playoff odds at the deadline, and they acquired John Curtis and Daniel Norris, right? They are not a push the chips in team. That is not how this front office operates, and that is not how they are going to operate this year. I would be floored and shocked if they did anything remotely drastic. I think they'll add a bat in the like Josh Bell category, you know?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
he feels like an obvious Carlos Santana again, right? But I don't think that anybody with a recent All-Star appearance is going to be on the Milwaukee Brewers in 10 days that isn't currently on the team. I don't really have much. And like, you could imagine them, you would say, oh, they need a depth starter, but like their rotation's been amazing, and they have whatever the hell Nestor Cortez is coming back relatively soon.